Alrighty, so today what we're looking at putting together, this is my Buick over here, and I'm gonna add a trailer hitch to it. So this car does have some towing capacity, which I'm hoping it'll be able to tow that. And you might be asking yourself, so you have a truck, why are you putting a hitch on your car? Well, I do have a truck and I quite like my truck, but what I am finding is that the current culture out there for camping and boating and canoeing and fishing and kayaking and all that outdoorsy stuff is like, yo, you need a truck. Well, really you don't. And I don't know if this is just marketing or what is going on with that kind of attitude. And love this truck. This is a real truck. Has a real engine in it.
That thing got a Hemi!
What is the problem though with having a vehicle with a real engine? That is 6 liters of pure gas guzzling glory. So does it work for towing? Yeah, absolutely. And if you have a boat that looks like this one, you're gonna need something that has some towing capacity. My car would never be able to tow that. It would just literally die. It would kill itself. It would just go, so okay, cool. For that, you need something big. But how many people actually have something that size? So if you're just into, like kayaking, canoeing, camping, and you do a bunch of research online and they're like, yo, you need a truck. Well, okay, so you can get a truck like this one that guzzles gas and it gets like 16 liters per 100 kilometers. I think that converts to 16 miles per gallon. That's not great. Then it's really expensive to do any trips, especially distance trips. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, Dennis, your truck is old. It guzzles gas. Modern trucks are a lot better on fuel. Well, you're not wrong. So most modern trucks, though, why are they better on fuel? They get these itty bitty tiny baby engines in them, and they just turbocharge the crap out of them. And it started with the ones that I'm thinking of are the Fords with the 3.5 liter twin turbo. We'll look up the reliability rating on those. And those engines are big compared to what they're putting into the trucks today. Now, you get these little tiny baby engines that you go with the turbos on them. They don't hold up. So if you're fine with spending like 50 grand every 5 years, go for it. But for the rest of you that are watching this video, which is probably most of you, because let's face it, if you're buying brand new trucks, you're not watching my videos, that doesn't exactly work. So I would overpay if I ever had to replace this. I'd buy something from like the 1980s. Those old inline sixes, those go forever. They're not super fuel efficient, but if you pair it with a stick shift, you're gonna have a reliable vehicle that will last you literally forever if you maintain it. This one, nice mix of tech and reliability, although I do have some valve issues with it I gotta get fixed up. But for the rest of the world that, we go camping a few times a year, you just get out on your kayak a little bit now and again, grab a car. Usually I'm all about the 4 cylinders that save on fuel. Just try to avoid the turbos. Like my car, if it had just the 4-banger in it, wouldn't be good for towing the boat, but I could still put that hitch on it and I could use that for, as complementary to a roof rack, or for putting a luggage carrier out the back of the vehicle, which is what I'm gonna do with this thing, so I can take that up to Quebec to go visit my sister and do some fishing while I'm up there. So that brings me back to the car. That thing, I don't know the miles per gallon, smiles per gallon, but it's like 9 liters per 100 kilometers. So if I put something like a trailer hitch on that, and I put some roof racks on it, I can start doing some pretty serious camping. I am big on fix what you've got, use what you got, get it paid for, and don't spend a whole lot of extra money. So we're going to today look at how to install this trailer hitch on my car. So let's get this process started. First thing I'm gonna do is get the vehicle lifted and raised up on ramps so I have access underneath it. Now I'm gonna do something weird here and actually read the instructions that came with this, because these are not exactly straightforward installations like it would be, say, on a truck, where you literally just take your hitch, bolt it up, and away you go. So I checked to make sure that I got all the parts that I'm supposed to have, because these are pretty heavy and they never fall out of the box. But it looks like this piece right here has these 2 brackets here that are going to mount it up. And then this piece right here, which is the actual receiver, is going to mount into the frame rail. And if I read this correctly, I may have to enlarge that hole, and I might have to trim off a little piece of the plastic underneath the car. So we're gonna see how this all goes. Hey, look at that, it's got steps. So let's try to just follow these. We're gonna start with step number 1. Remove 8mm bolt from exhaust hanger on each side. Clean the weld nut using a wire brush. We're gonna do this properly, and we're gonna use a thread chaser. Okay, and on Impala models, we need to trim the bumper fascia. So this is not an Impala. So, okay, let's do that. All right, well, I think these are the bolts that have to come out, which that would have been easier a few years worth of rust ago, but we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. At least if I got to break them off, they're pretty easy to just nut and bolt. Found a loose heat shield. Grab my socket set. This is going to be rather important. Okay, that came out. Great success. That one is going to be a challenge. At least the nut head, or the bolt head, at least the bolt head's in decent shape. Here's a chunk of rust. Lens protector for the win. I should probably fix this while I'm under here. So this appears to go from this side. Well, their instructions were totally inaccurate. I need the inner nut on both of these. That's fun. I guess I get to do that again. Did that first one there just for fun. This one's coming out this time. Luck is for the weak. So according to my directions, it looks like these bolts mount up through the back, through the frame, and then the nut goes on there. So that is kind of weird. So far, I am not doing well on my professional install time. It looks like I'm in the novice time frame, and I might even go longer than that. Well, that's probably not for mechanic in the rust belt. I'm gonna grab some anti-seize and lather it up. Don't fall. I think those are 13s or 14s. These are actually all standard fasteners. You can tell by the markings on the head. So that's a little bit unfortunate. It's a little unfortunate because my ratcheting wrenches are only in metric, but I have some regular ones too. And this part's pretty straightforward. Just thread the bolt through and slap on the nut. Well, it's weird, they didn't specify a washer for this side. I think I'm gonna go into the shop and grab one. Okay, so I'll still have to tighten that, but that's in. Now this one's being a little bit trickier. Should WD-40 my creeper. That's not quite in flush, so, or parallel, so it's in kind of cockeyed, and I gotta level that out. I bet you this would have been way easier when the car was brand new. Hope I got them threads close enough. lowers my ground clearance a bit, but NBD, maybe not that much when I have my exhaust, or when I consider the exhaust. All right, so step 2, raise receiver tube of hitch in place, use the 8 bolts, conical tooth washer, secure it. Secure 8mm nut to the back side of the frame bracket to hold exhaust bracket in place. Yes, so I'm gonna grab an extra washer for that. Okay, so it looks like that's the next step. That's where the brackets go. And that's a slightly different suspension style than what's being used right here. So hopefully that still all lines up, or I'm gonna be mighty sad. Well, one way to find out. Time for this piece. So I don't find the instructions to be 100% clear on the bracketry that I gotta line up over there. So I'm gonna put this piece in, but I'm not gonna tighten the bolts all the way so that it's kind of loose and I can jiggle it around. And that way I can see where the other brackets have to line up. And I may have to take this back down, but we're not gonna tighten it all the way, so not a big deal. That's kind of the trick anytime you're doing something like this. Just leave everything slightly loose. Now don't forget to tighten it back up when you're done, but that way you can move stuff and jiggle stuff and get everything lined up. These are my remaining nuts and bolts, other than these 2 that go on that piece I already installed. And I gotta get these to mount up and get this piece to line up there. Jobs like this make me very much wish that I had a hoist to work on in a real shop. Oh well, what do you do? Okay, 2 brackets. So I think this one is for the newer cars. And this is the one that I need. So this should mount there and go up like that. And then there's this teeny tiny little wedge that goes in between. Ha! And that just hangs in there. Yeah, that's, we're gonna modify that after. Lock washer, bolt, nut with anti-seize, wedge the bolt through the bracket, and put the wedge on. And then into place goes the handle nut, which realistically I could have got a wrench in there. I don't think that was necessary. Okay, so we're right in here. Get my 3/4-ish socket. I'm gonna get the thread started so this stuff doesn't fall out onto my head. And before I tighten that up, now in the instructions, it looks like it has this bolt coming up, going in that way. But I prefer the idea of having the bolt come down. I mean, I guess if the nut came off, I'd be in trouble anyways. But it's not like this bolt is gonna hang through there real far. I don't like that, doesn't line up. Great. Get this bolt tightened up and we'll see where we're at. So I like semi-assembling everything first and just leaving fasteners loose so that I can get stuff in place and lined up. The wedge turned on me a little bit. Real important when you're working on jobs like this, just take your time. Who cares that, ooh, a bug. Who cares that it says that it should only take 25 minutes for a pro or 45 minutes for a novice, like whatever, even if it takes 3 hours. If the job's done right, that's a heck of a lot better than having a trailer come off on me while I'm going down the road. You know what I'm saying? There's the bug. So, back this off a little bit and straighten the wedge out. I'm gonna need a flat screwdriver for that. Grab my pry driver here. Get back in there. There's the wedge that I was telling you about. and it's just turned on me a little. So I want it had turned this way, which could be why things aren't lining up. But I want that pretty well straight up and down, like that. Yeah, so that wedge wants to turn with this special welded bolt there. So I just have to hold it in place with my screwdriver. And this is why I like to do install work myself, so I can kind of pay attention to little things like that I'm not saying other techs and installers wouldn't, but they don't necessarily get paid to pay attention to stuff like that, and they got a lot of pressure to just get jobs in and out, which, you know, I can sympathize with that, but that's not the way I want to do it. Click, click. I wish that they provided torque specs with that. This is a weird, I think I'm gonna cut that off, like, whoop, right there. But yeah, I can't bend it out of the way this way because then it'll be in the control arm. I could just kind of bend it off this way. That way it's still there should I ever need it. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, cool. I gotta tighten up this bolt. I have the main bolts that hold it all together yet. And I need to get a washer in here. And the reason that I want to do that is so that the nut doesn't get jammed up in that slot right there. Get into my magic bin here. One day, oh, those are nice. Those were expensive. I forget where I got those from. One day I'll be able to afford to have a whole nut and bolt bin that's full of washers and bolts and all the hardware I need. I did find a sale on a bolt bin once, but I got to fill. Oh, washers. Washers. Those might work. Those are galvanized. It's a little ugly, but it'll do. Hold on a sec. I think when I was building a fence that I bought, those are lag bolts. More lag bolts. Where did the bloody washers go? Oh. Here we go. 1/4 inch flat washers. Stainless steel. That's exactly what I wanted. Get out of here, ugly galvanized crap. I'm gonna regret that later. That car looks pretty good with a trailer hitch on it. Bolts up there. Will this fit? Oh, doesn't fit. That's too bad. That would have been perfect if it did. Oh well, we need something a little bit bigger. I guess I should have tried that on these guys. That's why I brought one in. Yeah. Oh well. Now there's one icky washer in there with anti-seize on it. There's some 3/8 washers. I thought I had a kit. Those look a little bit bigger up there. Those are 5/16. Those are 8mm. These will work. Yeah, buddy. Okay, cool. So I've found some washers that fit. Fun fact about washers, they actually have sides. So kind of hard to tell, but the top of that washer is rounded and the bottom is flat. So the flat end is going to go on towards this bracket and the rounded end is going to stay out. And I will fully tighten that down after I finish getting everything else tightened up. Oh, anti-seize gets everywhere. Oh, anti-seize is gross. All right, we're getting close to being done with this hitch install and being able to go get a cold brew. So nice cold pop. Let's let's finish this up. Got a wrench on top here. See it? There's a wrench. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, that's nice and tight. Or the German torque spec, good and tight. Uh-oh. Wrench is stuck. That's off now. Oh, yeah. Okay. Back is good. Cool. On to these. Now these are carriage bolts, so that makes my life a little easier. I don't have to get the wrench on top. This little square on the shaft right here goes into a square hole on the hitch. So it holds itself in place, and all I got to do is worry about the nut. Oof. Yeah. So this whole thing is a little twisted. You can see the whole thing is a little bit twisted. So those brackets must be just kind of close enough so that they can fit a few different models instead of exactly specific to what I'm working on. But, oh well, what do you do? So I guess I will tighten this side first and kind of suck it back in, which I'm not hugely a fan of doing, but not a whole lot of options. Okay, now that I've secured all of these and I've gone around it once, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to recheck the torque on all of them to make sure that they're all tight. Those are tight. Okay, last but not least, I need to tighten up those two bolts that I started with. So I'll grab my 3/8 ratchet here, put my 13mm socket back on, which is the metric equivalent to a 1/2. It's actually just slightly bigger. And with everything else tightened up, I can finish tightening these. Yeah, I got some extra movement out of it now this time. Yeah, that welded nut there, no longer there. I'm gonna grab my 1/2" wrench and get on the bolt on the nut on the other side. Yeah, that popping sound, the welded nut popped off of the frame. It's not there no more. It's now in the hitch. Neat. Well, this the instructions say to put it on the other side of that nut. So I'm going to leave the nut in place even though it's not holding anything anymore for spacing purposes. And stop. Feel like these would be easy to over torque and break. Okay, and I got this one up here. This one still has a weld nut in place. Well, hopefully I can keep that where it's supposed to be. It's tight. Oh yeah, that ain't going nowhere. Now would you look at that? Got a beautiful little shin killer right there that I can just put a hitch in and leave it in the parking lot, pretend like I have a truck so I can whack my shins off of it. But that's pretty cool. That's in there tight. Motorcycle. So I can use that in conjunction with my roof racks there, so that I think I'm going to weld up a special bracket to come out of that and go up, so that if I got a canoe or something on top, I can really strap the back down, since the roof racks I've got are just temporary because they don't make a roof rack. All right, so that's our hitch install process. You're ready for your, your bike racks, or if you wanted to use a cargo extender, whatever you want there. This one's a 1.25 inch. It's a class 2. It has a lower weight, unfortunately, or weight rating towing capability than what a class 3, 4, 5 hitch does, you know, one of the ones with the 2-inch receivers. So that's a little frustrating when you're getting accessories. They do make adapters for it, but this whole girl wasn't exactly designed to pull a whole bunch of weight. However, according to the manufacturer, we're good up to 1,000 pounds. So that's pretty cool. Now, if you want to connect a trailer to your vehicle, check out this video here. Or is it on this side? I don't know. I don't do this part a whole lot.